Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are deep in the Grotmas calendar, and this time it is the turn of the Orks. This is a new detachment which is called Tactical Brigade. It's a bit weird. It's sort of like a combination of Death Watch and Imperial Guard all bundled into the Orks, where certain characters can issue orders or tactics to certain units. Let's get straight into it and see what this nonsense is all about. The detachment rule is called Listen Here, and it allows boss Snickrot, mechs, and war bosses to issue orders to certain units. So there's a few things to bear in mind here. There's a few tactics that they can choose from. You can pick one or two tactics to issue to certain units, and it allows them to get new abilities and help their abilities on the battlefield. The characters can pick a unit within 6 inches to give a tactic to. If they decide to do a couple of tactics rather than just the one, then the units that they pick have to take a leadership test. If it's failed, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. I don't know what this is supposed to represent. I guess an exploded eardrum perhaps, but there is a downside to doing two, but it's probably a bit more fun. In terms of the tactics themselves, the first one is Get Stuck In, and this allows you to reroll charge rolls for any unit, which is very nice. The next one is Get On With It, and this one gives you +1 strength to your melee weapons. We then have Sneaky Stalking, and this applies only to infantry and mounted. It gives them stealth and also gives them the benefit of cover if they are taking ranged attacks. This doesn't work on mega knobs or anything else, but it is quite handy to keep your more squishy units a bit safer. And the last one is Shooter Drills. This one applies to infantry and mounted and gives those units a +1 to hit with their range weapons, which is nice because Orks always have a bit of a problem with shooting. So these are quite interesting. A couple of these just apply to infantry and mounted, but some of the other ones like reroll charges and +1 strength in melee applies to any Orks unit. So if you've got enough war bosses and mechs and a boss Snickrot apparently, you can start dishing out these orders all over the battlefield, which can give you a nice little boost. On top of this, for some reason, Storm Boys are battle line. I'm not entirely sure why. They don't sort of seem to really fit in anywhere else, but it's quite fun because you could, if you wanted to, run 60 Storm Boys, which is a lot. Moving on to the enhancements, the first one we have is Squad Leader. This you can put onto a war boss and it allows them to join a unit of commandos. The war boss then gets Infiltrator and Stealth. It's kind of cool. There's nothing else you can do there. Normally a war boss can't join commandos, but the thought of a war boss with commandos and maybe a boss Snickrot as well, that's pretty cool. The next one is Mech Captain. I like this one quite a lot. This one applies to big mechs with shock attack guns, and big mechs with mega armor. This allows them to join a unit of flash gits, and then on top of that, the unit can then re-roll all of their hits with their ranged weapons. It's very good because flash gits got such a bad hand in the new codex. So being able to do this in this attachment is really, really nice for them. It suddenly makes them quite a tasty option. So I like this. I like it a lot. The next one is Mork's Cunning. This can go onto any Orks character, and this allows you to redeploy up to 3 units or put them into strategic reserve. Seen this with lots of other detachments, but very nice for Orks to move them around and be extra sneaky. And the final one is Gob Boomer. This one's nice and cheap and fits into the detachment quite nicely. It allows war bosses or mechs to have an 18-inch range with their tactics rather than 6. Very cool, fits into the detachment, very, very nice. And now on to the stratagems. The more I talk about this detachment out loud, the more I like it. It's quite fun. Stratagems wise, the first one is called Dash Hours. You can do this one in the command phase. You can put it onto any Orks unit that's in engagement range with an enemy unit until the start of your next command phase. They get +1 to their OC. Very nice indeed. Again, this can be done on any Ork unit, so being able to boost up their OC and take primary mission points away from your opponent is very nice. The next one is called Fight Proper. This one you can do onto your infantry or mounted units. It's nice to see the war bikers or the Squidhog boys being mounted get some benefits here with the enhancements. But what this does in the fight phase, yours or your opponent's, allows you to pick either sustained one or lethal hits with your melee weapon. So this is really cool if you've got big beefy unit like Mega Knobs to give them sustained, or maybe some lower strength, lower AP ones to give them lethal hits. It makes the Orks fight better, and that's what they like to do. The next one is Tactical Retreat. This is 1 CP and is done in your movement phase after one of your Ork units has fallen back. Allows them to shoot and charge after they do so. It's for any Ork unit, it's lovely. The next one is Crunch in Descent. This is done on your Storm Boys units that gain battle line, which is very nice. This is 1 CP done in the charge phase. After a Storm Boy unit has made a charge, you basically get to do tank shot with them, which is amazing. So for every model in your unit, you roll a d6 and a 4+ to do a mortal wound. Makes them far more viable, and there's your reason to take Storm Boys as battle line. The next one is called On to the Next. So you can do this in your opponent's movement phase after they pick a unit to fall back. You can then pick your Orc unit to then make a normal move of up to 6. Quite an interesting one, this, because you could move onto an objective, you could block something else off. It's nice to have a bit more movement flexibility, which you can do in your opponent's turn. This is good. And finally, we have Dead Sneaky. This is done at the end of your opponent's fight phase, and it allows your commandos or your Storm Boys to do the uppy downy trick. So you can put them into strategic reserve and bring them back in your next turn. This is never a bad thing. It's really nice to be able to do this with Orcs, which can sometimes get a little bit bogged down on the battlefield. So again, another reason to take Storm Boys, another reason to take commandos. It's nice. So there we are, the Tactical Brigade is here and gives a nice new way to play Orcs. I quite like this, it feels very different to the detachments that are in the Codex at the moment. It gives some interesting play to mix up your commandos, bikers, Squig Hog Boys, Storm Boys. It feels quite infantry focused, but gives them lots of maneuverability. You've got interesting ways with the uppy downy, increasing OC. I think it will have some good play on the primary mission, which sometimes you can get a little bit carried away to not focus on that with Orcs because they just like to scrap. But you get some nice enhancements with range weapons in the fight phase. You've got the uppy downy. It's cool. You can run a few different characters because you can put war bosses in with commandos. Storm Boys en masse. You can take them as battle line, and having gone through all of the details of the Tactical Brigade, it feels like quite a cool way of doing it with the uppy downy, with the tank shock stratagem. This is very fun indeed. So hooray for Orcs once again. If you needed any more reason to play Orcs, you shouldn't really, but here's another one for you. That's it. That's all from me. We're going to be back tomorrow with another Grotmas Advent drop. But for now, check out On Demand. You can start seeing some of these new detachments on there very, very soon. But for now, I've been Beard, and I'll see you very soon. Enjoying today's video? Here's a quick look at what we've released this week for our On Demand members. These videos join a huge library of exclusive content that grows every week for our on-demand community. If you want instant access to all of these videos and more, head over to table.tactics.tv or download our app and sign up today. And currently, we have an introductory offer for new customers, so there's never been a better time to join On Demand.